How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I wanted to talk about focusing on the things that you have in life, the advantages that you have in life, instead of the things that you don't have, the disadvantages or your failings in life. We've all been dealt a certain hand from the deck of cards of life, if you like, and there's very little you can do about some of those things, right? You can't change where you were born, for instance. You can't change your parents. You can't change a lot about your past. You can't change anything about your past. The only thing that you can really change about your past is the way that you look at things, the way you view things, the perspectives that you look on your past through, the frame that you look at your past through, whether you look at your past in a positive way or a negative way, whether you look at it like it's something to feel guilty about or whether it's a part of life. I had a conversation with a really good friend there not so long ago, and he was talking about just some of the things that he's feeling about just a new relationship that he's in. And he was saying to me, is this should I be feeling these things? Should I be feeling like should I even be thinking certain thoughts? And I won't go into the thoughts that he was thinking, but they were pretty negative. And I said, it's one of those things in life where you're always going to get thoughts. You're always going to think in a certain way at a certain time, and sometimes those thoughts can be sort of not detrimental, but they can be opposed to your general line of thinking. There's no saying that you might be in love with somebody, right? But at a certain time, in a certain mood, you might think to yourself, I don't really like this person, or this person's annoying me, or whatever, and it goes against what you think in general terms. But it's just a thought. It's a thought process, and we all go through that kind of thing. Everyone goes through that. Everyone goes through that regardless of where you are in life, whether it's with relationships, whether it's with your children, your parents, your brothers and sisters. These are all natural things, and I think some people can hold on to those thoughts a lot longer than is necessary. That they can hold on to these thoughts for years afterwards, and to their own detriment. To sort of say to themselves, well, this is the way I think. Does that make me a bad person? And you start questioning that all because of a single thought. Now, as I say, most people have these thoughts at one time or another for many different things in their lives. But I think what this video is about is trying to look at the positive things as much as possible. Look at your positive thoughts. I try and be positive as much as possible, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm never going to have negative thoughts. I probably have negative thoughts every day, probably a few times a day. But it's what you do with those thoughts that matter, It's how you put those thoughts into action. And sometimes, I'll have a really shitty day where I don't want to do anything, and I sort of curl up into a ball, and don't, just basically want to waste the day away just watching videos. And I don't think there's any problem with that, because so long as it doesn't last too long, it doesn't start interfering with your life, or it doesn't interfere with other people's lives too much, I think there's room for that kind of thing. But in general, you have to look at your advantages in life and concentrate on that. Focus on your benefits, focus on the things that are going right in your life, because as soon as you do that, then I think you can see other things from a completely different perspective. you can see, you start to see other things from a more positive perspective, if you like. I think we can all focus on our failings. We can all focus on the things that are missing out of life. It's very easy to do that, to sort of beat yourself around the head because you don't know a certain thing, or you don't know how to do something, or you've said something wrong, or whatever. I've got a lot of things going for me now that I'm off the drink, a lot more positives than I had when I first started drinking, or first quit drinking. But even back then, I had a lot of things that I could look on as positives in my life, things that I could draw some energy from. One of them was I had my son, who I love very much, and I wanted and still want to do the best that I can for, right? And that is a huge thing that I can draw on. My partner as well, same thing, somebody I love very much, and she really has helped me in a lot of different ways. And she said at the beginning that she was going to help me, and she'd help me in any way she could. And she also said that she wasn't giving up the alcohol. Fair enough, but at the beginning that pissed me off, but it was just from my own perspective, because I was a bit scared about what was going to happen. Another advantage was that I like to read and I like to learn, and I've always tried to learn, and I knew that once I stopped drinking I'd have much more opportunities to put that learning into action. I'd have much more time to do it. Another advantage was that I had quit drinking a sort of 5 years previously for 10 months, and I knew from that quitting drinking a lot about the different triggers. Like, I knew that when I finished work, one of the biggest triggers for me to go drinking was my thirst, right? I also knew that I had trouble in the first month or so sleeping. I don't know whether that was a help or a hindrance. I don't know whether that sort of actually caused me not to sleep for a month once I did stop drinking this time. But overall, I think the whole 10 months gave me a good bit of experience, of going out and socializing, and we went on a couple of holidays that year and just doing different things with that alcohol. So I knew from that year that I could quit in over a lot of months, and the same goes with quitting cigarettes. I quit cigarettes permanently 7 years before. I think, no, is it 3 years? 3 years before that, so it's 7 or 8 years now. So it was 3 or 4 years before I quit drinking, and that was one of the toughest things that I've ever done in my life. I spent so much time trying to quit drinking, or trying to quit smoking. So many attempts that I've made since I was young, since I was a young man, of my early 20s. And I'd quit anywhere from 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, to a couple of months. 6 months, I think, at one stage was the longest that I'd ever gone. That year that I quit drinking, I'd also quit smoking for a year, for that 10 months, and then I went back onto the cigarettes at the same time as I started drinking again. And it was a year after that I actually stopped smoking. So, and it took a while, but I just felt that I had the determination to do it. And I think part of that was also to do with the fact that my son had started smoking, and I just didn't. As soon as I saw him start smoking, that broke my heart, that I'd played a part in encouraging him to do that kind of thing. So I'm just saying that, you've got to look for these advantages wherever you can, Another one of my advantages was that I worked for in a very difficult industry, in the forestry industry, working with trees and cutting down trees and humping logs around, and some of the stuff that I did with plantations and planting trees, it just required, I was paid always on a per tree basis, so I never got paid a wage. It was always what I did. So I just learned an awful lot of stamina from doing that. So it was one of the things that I brought not only into my quitting drinking, but into making these videos and building the website and all that kind of stuff. So as I say, focus on your advantages, right? Everyone's got advantages, and you might not think, well, I haven't got the right type of advantages, right? But the whole thing is that you can adapt your own advantages to the situation that you're in now. You know, every time you do something of value in your life, you know that underneath that there is something good that's being built, a skill that's being built, a level of skill that's being upped a little bit, and you can use that skill to bring it into your habit change. So I hope that makes sense. Until next time, keep the alcohol out your mouth, stay safe. Come on over to the website if you want to sign up for the newsletter. It's absolutely free. There's a free course as well going with the subscribers. For any new subscribers, get a free course on how to relax and de-stress and all that kind of stuff without alcohol. So stay safe, take care of yourself, onwards and upwards.